Good evening. Voters in parts of England will have to show some sort of identification in order to vote in a trial scheme designed to crack down on electoral fraud. It's thought places that have had a problem with voter fraud in the past will be selected for the pilot in 2018. But critics say voter ID won't stop fraudulent practices and could disenfranchise parts of the electorate, as Jane Death reports.
Off to vote, you might need your passport. If a dry run in some local elections goes well, all voters in England could have to dig out either photo ID or proof of address to do their democratic duty. The government says it wants to make sure no one can impersonate you and steal your vote. The pilot will probably include London's Tower Hamlets, where this former mayor was found guilty of electoral fraud. Critics say asking for ID is an overreaction.
The big issue with electoral fraud, as we know from repeated cases of people being prosecuted, is not personation at the polls. Very little evidence of that. It's misuse of the postal vote, which ID would do nothing to address.
And it's been pointed out millions of voters don't have any photo ID.
Just like last year when they said everybody had to register themselves, not just one person in the family. We saw about 1 million people kicked off the voters list. This will take more poor people off the voters list, and that's really what it's about.
The government insists the pilot will find a way to protect democracy and people's votes.
Jane Death reporting. Now, Russian search teams have found the black box from the military jet that crashed into the Black Sea on Sunday, killing all 92 people on board. Investigators in Moscow are now studying the data, but said it was still too soon to say what caused the crash, which happened just moments after the plane took off from the city of Sochi on its way to Russia's airbase in Syria. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will join the US President Barack Obama at Pearl Harbor today in an historic visit to the site which drew America into the Second World War. Abe will be the first Japanese leader to visit the memorial to more than 2,300 Americans who died in the surprise attacks on the Hawaiian naval base. It comes 7 months after the two leaders made a joint visit to Hiroshima, which was devastated by a US atomic bomb in 1945. The actress Liz Smith, best known for her role as Nana in the BBC sitcom The Royal Family, has died, aged 95.
I've been waiting to meet you, sweetheart. Oh, she's beautiful, beautiful, Denise.
She only got her first professional role in her 50s in a Mike Leigh film. She was working in Hamleys, demonstrating toys at the time. The director said today she was a breath of fresh air. In the last few minutes, George Michael's publicist has said his family and close friends are touched beyond words by what he called the incredible outpouring of love from fans since the star's death. The 53-year-old musician was found dead on Christmas Day with suspected heart failure. It's also emerged that he'd been a secret donor to many charities, including those involved with helping children and those suffering from cancer and AIDS. 6 people are missing and 3 have been washed away after heavy storms triggered torrential floods in central Australia. The record rainfall drenched Australia's famous Uluru National Park, turning the usually parched desert into a series of waterfalls and forcing people in nearby towns to evacuate their homes. Baby giant panda twins have been shown off to visitors for the first time at a safari park in China. The male cubs were born just over 2 months ago in the park in South China's Guangdong province, weighing just over 100 grams. The public have been invited to help name them. That's it from us. We're back tomorrow at 5:15. Until then, have a very good evening.